You guys may remember around about a year ago, I reviewed a watch called the TicWatch Pro 5, and at the time, I said this was one of the best Wear OS smartwatches on the market. I praised its design, I praised its battery life, I praised the fact that it has this nifty dual layer display. Can I get the light to hit it just right? See that? How cool is that? A dual layer display, you click on a button or touch it, boom, there is an OLED screen. There's a lot to like about that watch. Now, there's some things I don't so much like about that watch, like the software support, the updates, maybe the lack thereof. We have a Wear OS 4.0 beta ongoing right now for that device, sort of a private beta is what I should say. Now, today, we have something kind of unexpected to talk about because Mobvoi has released a new version of the Pro 5. This is the TicWatch Pro 5 Enduro. What they've done is they've taken what was already good about the Pro 5 and they've tried to improve upon it. Let's look at this Amazon listing here. The Pro 5 Enduro, power that lasts. I like that slogan. So like I said, a lot of the things that were good on the Pro 5 are still here on the Enduro. You still have that dual layer display technology, Snapdragon W5 Plus platform, so it's going to be extremely fast, and I can vouch for that. It is a very, very snappy watch. And because it has that dual layer screen technology, that means you can have a functional always on display without it killing your battery life. They say up to 90 hours of battery life. And I'm getting, just like I did on the other one, around about 3 days on a charge. So that seems to be about right. But there are also some other things here that are trying to live up to this Enduro name. What does that mean? Well, it's supposed to be more durable. It's supposed to last, right? So how about a newly redesigned rotating crown? So the crown on the side that you can scroll through things, it's apparently redesigned to be more durable, to be smoother, to last longer. How about sapphire crystal glass over the display? Instead of Corning Gorilla Glass 3 here, you've got sapphire on this one. That is, I think, a really nice improvement as well. Maybe the biggest thing, though, that I think a lot of people are going to be pretty happy about is if we scroll down here towards the bottom of our applications. On the original Pro 5, you'll notice Tic Oxygen, Tic Pulse, Tic Sleep, Tic Zen. There's all of these different Tic applications. Now, we still do have some, Tic Care, Tic Breathe, but a lot of these have been combined into one Tic Health application. And if we jump into the same app on both, you'll see that the new watch has a new interface for Tic Health. And again, you just have a lot less of the clutter in your app drawer than you had before. Otherwise, things are going to behave very, very similarly. So this is the Mobvoi Health application. And I'll just show you a couple things. I haven't exercised today, but I have the last couple of days. Of course, this thing does have GPS, so if you do track a walk or something like that, it's going to be able to track all of that stuff just fine. Showing heart rate, your different zones where your heart rate was, your speed, your step frequency. There's a lot of good stuff here. And of course, there is a map that shows your path as well. I'm not going to zoom in and show you that because it was actually right near my house and that would tell you where I live. But all of that stuff is just fine. One place where I think that it does kind of not do that great is in sleep tracking. I know this to be not very accurate at all. I know this because I had a very hard time sleeping last night and I was awake for a lot of the night. So the idea that I was only awake 4 separate times, very briefly, I know that to be false. And if we go to the day before, that is just ridiculously inaccurate. If you compare that to something like my Pixel Watch 2 in the Fitbit app, you can see just the granularity of the detail is nowhere near the same. I would not trust this thing for accurate sleep tracking. It's just not great at it. Other things seem to be okay, though. Your heart rate, blood oxygen, even VO2 max seems to line up with other watches that I have used. Just the sleep tracking isn't great. Something that I think a lot of people are going to miss, though, is the fact that when you hold down your crown or you hold down this button, you're not going to be greeted by Google Assistant. It may come later on. I would say that it probably will, maybe with Wear OS 4, but when is that going to be? Who knows? But for right now, no Google Assistant, I think, is a big miss. They've got to get that part figured out quickly. Overall, I feel like the app is a little bit of a mixed bag. It does some things well, but some other things I don't really love about it. So we are missing things like electrocardiogram. We're missing things like heart rate variability. It does have the ability to sync with Google's Health Connect application, but only for steps. So if you're planning on using this and then using Health Connect to sync those stats with other programs, other apps, maybe Google Fit, things like that, you're going to be leaving behind everything but your step counter, making that functionality a little bit useless. I will point out, though, there's no subscription with Mobboy Health, and I do really at least appreciate that. One thing that I believe that they added with a recent software update to the old model as well that I do want to point out here is the fact that when you're using this low power LCD screen, if you start scrolling, it will wake it up. And you can then scroll through these different things like showing your BPM, showing your calories, showing your blood oxygen. I mean, there's lots of really interesting things you can quickly see on that screen without even fully waking the device up. Once you do wake the device up, though, you may want to look through some of the watch faces, and I think that it's okay. They don't have the greatest selection of watch faces in the world, but I was able to find at least one that I could customize that I like the looks of pretty good. I do wish that there were a few more. This is not something like the Pixel Watch that I think has a whole bunch of really good options. This is an aspect that I think they could probably improve on. And there are a few other things that I wish that they would improve on as well. So they have something called Essential Mode. Basically what happens is it'll go into this mode where it's only tracking. It's basically just functioning as a watch. The OLED screen never wakes up, and it's good for battery life. It's good if you're sleeping with it on. And so by virtue of that, you might want to have it auto switch on by a schedule. Here's the problem I'm running into, though. When I have it set to this schedule, it should go into essential mode at 9:30 and out of it at 6, but it doesn't. It goes into it at 10:30 and comes out at 7. Something is just not quite right there. And that type of thing does kind of annoy you a little bit. I also did have this instance right after I set the watch up where it just did not want to respond. It was staying on the LCD screen and I just couldn't get it to wake up. I was hitting buttons, tapping the screen, and eventually it was extremely laggy, but it woke up and I was able to reboot it, and it's been fine ever since. But it's worth pointing out, there may be a little bit of some software lack of polish going on with this watch. That's not shocking because the original had a few of these little rough edges as well. And that's kind of the story of Mobboy watches. They often have great hardware. This thing runs the W5 Plus. It has 2 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes of internal storage, a really nice screen. Like, the hardware is off the charts with this thing. The software is always what holds this device back. By and large, it is extremely snappy. Like, it is very, very responsive, and I don't really have any major issues with it. I showed you a little bit, but you can see what I'm saying. Like, it just bounces through its operation really, really quickly. Launching applications is just really fast on this thing, but there are just those occasional little rough edges here and there. And the roughest edge might be something we have to sort of project into the future with. Do we know what Mobboy is going to do with software updates for this watch? Their track record is not great, guys. The TicWatch Pro 3 Ultra that I wore for a long time and loved did not get great software support. It took forever to get substantial updates. The TicWatch Pro 5 should be getting Wear OS 4.0 soon, but if it gets it tomorrow, that was probably 3 or 4 months at least later than it should have been. So what's going to happen with this watch? How is it going to fare? We really don't know. My advice to you would be buy it. If you're going to buy it for exactly what it is right now, because it may never substantially change, and it probably won't substantially change. But the good news is, even if it doesn't substantially change, you're still getting a pretty darn solid watch, okay? It does everything at least pretty well, but it does some things exceptionally well. I do like the durability that they're advertising for this thing. The sapphire, the materials being used, it does feel very, very premium. I love the performance of the watch. Moving through your applications, doing anything, does feel very, very snappy. But more than anything, I love the battery life on this thing. You're talking 3, maybe 4 days of battery life, and that's because, make sure I get this number correct here, it's a 628 milliamp hour battery. That's a really large battery for a watch, and it takes about an hour and 10 minutes to go from dead to fully charged, which for a battery that big really isn't all that bad. If it was, like a 250 milliamp hour battery, I would say that's very slow charging. But it's not. It's a huge battery, so I think that's pretty solid. Now, we do have to acknowledge it's not cheap. This is a $350 watch. It's a premium watch. And of course, I'm going to drop an affiliate link in the description down below. If you click on it, you make a purchase, I'm going to earn commission off of that. So keep that in mind. I would say if you're looking for a very premium, very nice, durable watch with great battery life, that's going to have to be your primary concern. You just don't want to have to think about your battery that much. You want to wear this thing for 3 or 4 days and then have to charge it. If that's what you're after, this is among the best options that you have currently on the market. If you're looking for the most accurate fitness tracking, I'd probably push you towards a different option. Most accurate sleep tracking, same thing. Probably going to push you in a different direction. But if all you want is really fast, should be quite durable, great battery life, and an always-on display that is fantastic in that the brighter the sun is outside, the easier it actually is to read it. That is really, really cool. This is going to be a solid option. I do want to quickly say thanks to Mobboy for sending this watch over for me to review. That is how this happened. I did not buy this watch. They sent it to me. But as always, when it says review in my videos, you must know that no money exchanged hands for the production of this review. And they are seeing the video at the exact same time as you are. Guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content just like this. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.